Shonen Jump versus Capcom! A fighting game concept on the minds of many fans of Capcom and Shonen Jump. Can it work? Can it happen? Especially with today's Capcom crew. With the many fan arts and roster put together the fans make, you thought, maybe it might have happened by now. This video will give you everything you need in terms of the good, the bad, the great potential of Shonen Jump versus Capcom. My name is Shintone. Let us begin.
You can push yourself to the limit, being a Shonen Jump with me. You can fly above the rainbow with me, close your eyes and just believe.
Nothing's gonna stop you and me from getting to where we wanna while the beat is kicking. You know that you're my kindred spirit. Fly with me, JC. Let me.
You used to hide behind another face. At first I didn't understand, but then I saw in you a kindred spirit. I called your name.
In the bronze stage, we usually discuss the little details, the important details, before we get into the crazy details, the essentials, chances, and the scenario. Pretty much figuring out what the chances are and what scenario follows those chances. Okay, let's just get it out of the way. Will it be a crossover like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, or will it be a versus game, like we said? No, it's definitely going to be a versus game. As the key differences between Cross and versus, if you don't know, is Cross is more of a merged universe, but it's like a known universe to the characters involved. Like in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, everybody knows each other and they know they exist as if they were one universe. And a versus game, like Marvel vs. Capcom has always been, it's a merge. It's always some big bad guy making them merge, being a threat to both universes as they are separate. So, there you go. Definitely gonna be a versus. But what is the relationship between Capcom and Shonen Jump, or even so Shueisha, that can give us a clue as to what the chances are for this game to happen? Well, to my surprise, I found some history. Back in 1989, Capcom worked with Shonen Jump on a game called Dynasty War, and then that led to a sequel called Warriors of Fate. Some of you may have heard of this or not. This in particular series of games was based off a manga called Tenchi wo Kuro. And excuse me if I said that wrong, but yes, it was very, very important details right here going on here. We now established that they worked together as far back as 1989 and 1992. But anything in between that? Well, only a few years after that, we would get the release of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, originally released in 1998. And it was released on the PlayStation, Dreamcast, and the other shit that I'm pretty sure no one cares about, because it was released on PlayStation, Dreamcast. Come on, there's at least there that you get the picture. It was re-released in HD in 2012 digitally, but mysteriously removed in 2014. Now, as some of you may or may not know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a cult classic fighting game made by Capcom, and is a big thing. Is a big thing in our mystery of finding out what the chances of Shonen Jump versus Capcom happen on both the good side of the chances and the bad side of the chances. You see, this establishes another connection in the relationship between Shonen Jump and Capcom, another history point, and a big one too, considering how big JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is nowadays compared to then, especially on the more so the Western audiences because of the anime and whatnot. But just to think that JoJo is the connection that we were looking for. Yes, indeed, but is it strong enough? You see, there's one tiny bit of connection, and you're looking at it on the screen right now. Tatsunoko versus Capcom happened around 2008, 2009, and it featured Gacha Man characters, Tekken Man, Yatter Man, just old classic Japanese anime fighting against Street Fighter characters, Mega Man, Volnut, and whatnot. Absolutely, I personally love this game, but besides the point, what does this have to do with Shonen Jump vs. Capcom? It broke the barrier for an anime-like thing versus Capcom. That's what's important to note. So, there you have it. We have a few connections and an indirect kind of direction connection with Tatsunoko versus Capcom. But this is pretty much it as far as I can find. Between the Dynasty Warriors of Fate, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and what Tatsunoko vs. Capcom did. Here's a review on the notes before we find out the chances of Shonen Jump vs. Capcom happening. Capcom has experience before, and Tatsunoko that's actually lesser known than Capcom, broke the barrier. And the most recent collab with JoJo lasted from 2012 to 2014. But here's a funny note after that, too, that might be very important information. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star came out around 2014 as well. So that's 2013, around that area. So maybe it's because of licensing issues they decided to drop the game. And with that in mind, I give the game total, in terms of percentage, a 7% chance of happening. If Shonen Jump vs. Capcom were to happen, 10 years ago would have been the time. However, more than 10 years ago, probably 15 years ago, before Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, Tatsunoko probably would have been the best time to do it. But I argue that now would probably be the best time, as you'll see later in the video. But with a 7% chance, what would be the scenario? With this 7% chance I presented with the information that we got, Capcom would have to approach Shueisha for this to happen. Now, I know Shueisha could approach them, but Bandai Namco kind of has a monopoly on anime games, as so it's said. So, Capcom will have to approach them, showcases the demos and concepts they could bring with the Shonen Jump characters and their characters. And that could take to a few months. And of course, if that happens, they have another meeting. Shueisha tells Capcom what they need in that crossover, what they want in that crossover for this to happen. Shueisha feels like they need to make a connection, or Shonen Jump, one of those. And they start working together on smaller projects that could possibly include possible mobile games. Let's just say this goes well. Whatever the small project is, they are both satisfied with working with each other. Capcom, Shonen Jump vs. Capcom is approved. Move a little ahead in time. Finalizing, roster decided, DLC and game modes begin discussion. Research and development begins. So why is everything red and research and development is blue? Well, at any point in time, that could have fell off. This could have actually happened. Each and every point could have happened in real life, and we don't know about that yet. And that's why this game never happened yet. You know? So these are all the possible, this is the possible scenario we're working with to make this game happen. We got a 7% chance of this ever happening because based off the established relationships that they had in the past and the fact that this might be a licensing issue matter or a deal with Bandai Namco when it comes to certain manga titles. And the point that Capcom will most likely have to approach Shueisha, meaning that they want something, you know what I mean, they want to use their characters to bolster something with Capcom. Just that type of thing kind of could be seen like that. Anyway, we got a 7% chance. This is a scenario. I think it's time to go into the game development because we're at research and development. So let's go into the silver stage and see where we're at with that. Let's go right on. The first thing any developer has to decide on is the art style of a game. Now, of course, all developers do their own thing and differently, but when it comes to Shonen Jump vs. Capcom, there's a few things to take note of, and that's the art style alongside the graphics. Now, the graphics, they'll be good. What about the art style? Let's take a look at their most recent crossover, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, here's the thing about this game that people did not like, and I'm sure some of you may already know this. The game looked like shit. it compared to its previous games, even Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, it looked terrible. But the gameplay in Marvel vs. Capcom wasn't that bad at all. It tried to relate to beginners compared to the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think it did that, but like I said, the gameplay though is actually pretty alright. Everything else in the game was pretty trash. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make was the game art style was pretty much non-existent. It was pretty much an MCU type of freaking thing, realistic thing going on, and it was not working out at all. But when you look at this game, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, that's where they're trying to go for. Take a little bit of that Tatsunoko vs. Capcom look and make it manga. This should be their focus, and this should be their focus, yeah. Instead of turning the Capcom characters into what they previously did, like trying to do them in a comic book style manner, as they previously shown in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Marvel vs. Capcom 3, whatever, and they did that pretty successfully. Doom in a more manga-istic style, so it wouldn't be too different. I say kind of mix Tatsunoko vs. Capcom with the execution and the feel of hype that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had. And I think you mix those two together with the possible simplicity of the controls of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Not for anyone in particular, but it could be good for beginners and stuff. And you got yourself a nice graphical look in terms of art style. That can go on with the effects of manga effects and whatnot. Now, what you're seeing here is Jump Force gameplay. This is what you don't want to do. Seems like Jump Force and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite kind of make the same mistake here. Trying to do a realistic gameplay style that doesn't really fit the character. But without that out of the way, we got ourselves a theme of what we want the game to look like. A manga art style similar to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom with a little bit of touch of Tatsunoko with the gameplay layout, possibly a little bit like Infinite. Then we got ourselves Shonen Jump vs. Capcom on a base level of understanding. But now it's time for us to focus on what some of you are very excited to see, or should be, the roster. These 4 characters are your 100% guaranteed picks for the roster. But there's something about the roster that we need to take note of. How the roster is picked out. Look at how this roster is picked out. People call this roster trash. Maybe because it's the presentation of the characters and whatnot. Some character choices do mesh well with each other, but overall it's presentation that makes it look really bad. And the fact that there's more Marvel characters than Capcom obviously has some MCU Disney bullshit involved in this game to try to fuck with it, which is a big no-no. This Shonen Jump won't be having that, obviously, but take a look. Lack of theme makes a terrible nonsense roster. That culminates pretty much presentation of the roster and the roster itself. We got 2 Resident Evil, 2 Street Fighter, 2 Darkstalkers, like there's 3 Mega Man characters. You know what I mean? There's an obvious pattern, but it doesn't really exactly work. So that was pretty much what I could tell. Capcom was kind of focusing on a diverse roster with no more than 2 from each series type of deal. But how can they approach Shonen Jump vs. Capcom? What should they approach? What mindset, theme, roster making mindset could they go with? Either what they already did, diverse focus, or rival roster, counterpart, or celebration. And what I mean by rival roster is finding one character on one side and finding a rival on the other. And not to mention that this game could take as long as 5 years because that's the average AA title. This needs to be an AA title, by the way. So we're gonna kind of give it all we got, but within reason when it comes to the roster. So Goku and Asura. So Goku isn't 100% guaranteed. Those 4 characters were to start you off. Goku and Asura can fight. They're rival picks. So if you probably guessed by now, we're going with the rival counter pick type of deal because that's the smartest way to approach the Shonen Jump vs. Capcom roster. If you just focus on diverse roster, it could lead to some really shitty choices for more so the Capcom side than the Shonen Jump side. But there is a way we could do this while following that diversity mindset in check to keep, the freshness for the Shonen Jump side. So there we have it. We're going to focus on the roster rival counterpart theme to go alongside this roster. So we need to find some more rival characters. So let's get right into it. Who could be the next rival characters we have on this list? We got Goku, Luffy, Naruto, but Naruto's not a rival to Chun-Li. I forgot to mention that. But here we have it. Kenshiro versus Akuma. I really like this pick. And it's a little bit on a personal note, but I think Capcom would definitely match these two up together because of their touch of death type of styles they got going on. Of course, another unusual one is Yugi versus Mega Man Battle Network Mega Man, which this will be the first time Battle Network Yugi isn't even in a crossover game. Battle Network Yugi. Battle Network Mega Man would be in a game, which is surprising. And this one may surprise you as a choice. Madaka versus Ingrid. Now, Ingrid is in a lot of these fan-made rosters because she meshes well with the Shonen Jump side. Me, specifically, I can see her meshing well with Madaka. Now, this is maybe a hot take, and we're going to add more rival choices as we go through the video. But if Shonen Jump does this, I guarantee you Madaka will 100%, I'm that confident, for real confident, not like fake confident, like fuck around confident, that Madaka will be a part of this roster. She's a main character, a female main character on the Shonen Jump side. She meshes well with Ingrid. In terms of their power struggle they got going on, they're perfect rival counterparts. Let's add some more. Oh shit, it's Kenshin. Kenshin versus who? Tenkai from Animusha or Samosuke from Animusha? There's going to be a little important detail I have to mention later when it comes to pretty much all the characters, but I'm just going to say that right now because I almost said it. I'm supposed to say it a little later. But yeah, Kenshin versus Tenkai from Onimusha. I have a feeling that's not the last Onimusha character we'll be seeing on this roster. I'm just saying. And this one may surprise you as well. Alan Walker with the rival counterpick of Morgan. That one's nice. And Ichigo versus Dante. Dante has to be in this game. Remember, all Capcom characters have a manga-like arc style with animation similar manga like anime like animation similar to Tatsunoko versus Capcom, but not exactly the same. So they're definitely going to be in a fresh new taken away. Ichigo versus Dante, I think that's an obvious one that could really work. Alan Walker, back to Alan Walker versus Morgan. Why I matched them up, why Capcom would do it, because they have a similar dark theme going on. It's almost too good to add them together. I mean, too good, like it's a good obvious choice in some regard, in some way, because they had that dark theme going on. Morgan's a staple in Marvel vs. Capcom. Alan is not really a staple in Shonen Jump versus games. It's a good surprise, but holy shit, we just got more Shonen Jump characters without Capcom characters. What's going on? Remember when I said Shonen Jump has specific requests on who needs to, what they need from this versus game and who needs to be in the roster? Deku, Asta, and Tanjiro with the rise of Demon Slayer, I truly do believe he'll be in base roster. Or what I call disruptor picks. Picks that I don't think anybody would choose to be a part of this roster base, to be honest, unless you're a big fan. Which I wanted to mention here that I did get a little inspiration from the SNK or Capcom versus SNK roster. So you can see that little diamond thing forming around. That I thought that was pretty cool. So I could would the main menu or would the character select screen look like this? I'm not too sure about that, but I hope you find that is cool. But anyway, back to disruptor picks. Capcom has to respond to that. So they just add random characters to match up with those random characters. It keeps the air of freshness, and I believe that's how they kind of mostly did the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite roster a little bit. With a little disruption right there. Add a little disruption-like character. That doesn't quite make sense with the another character added alongside with them. So we got Phoenix Wright Zero, and of course, first time appearing in a versus game, Leon from Resident Evil. You know he can't beat Goku. He can't go up to half of these guys. just being Leon in a versus game, and this is the perfect way for him to get introduced. I have a feeling this won't be the last Resident Evil character we'll be seeing, or maybe it is. Anyway, look at the roster now. It was looking pretty nice. Some of you might say that the Shonen Jump side is pretty strong right now. It's looking pretty strong. We got a bunch of new, classic. When we got to look at the Capcom side, it's looking a bit weird. It needs a little more spice to the roster. Now, like I said, we're going alongside the roster. We're kind of going through the roster, and then we'll finally reach the final roster. Some of these choices may not stay here. I'm just letting you know that right now. So, yeah, Deku, Asta, Demons, Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, Kinemitsu no Yaiba. Well, I hope I said that right. And of course, Resident Evil characters. It looks okay, but we need more. Now, we both got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 characters on each side. And hopefully I do my math right when I say this, but that should be a total of 24 characters in total. That's still a little bit of characters, and I don't think they were lowballers like that. So let's add some more. Yusuke Urameshi on the Shonen Jump side, with his rival being a Power Stone character. Would you really think Capcom would add a Power Stone? Listen, they added Virtual Joe to Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which could, he was still kind of irrelevant. I don't think it's a matter of irrelevance when it comes to Capcom. It's whatever the fuck they want, really, to be honest with you. And I think them adding a Power Stone character, more so, what's his name? Edward Falcon versus Yusuke Urameshi is really nice. And we also got another Power Stone character, Rogue, which is on fantasy fantasy rosters a lot. And she's because she's another character that meshes well with the Shonen Jump side. And holy shit, we got Beautiful Joe and Wingman. You may not know Wingman, but yeah, the two superheroes, blue and red, they clash well with each other. However, this is where I come to say, when it comes to Cat's Eye character Hitomi Kusogi and Wingman, Capcom is one of the things that people really want to look forward to is what non-popular character does Capcom bring to the Shonen Jump side? Who will we see that we don't ever usually see or unaware of completely? The main audience, anyway, when it comes to Shonen Jump. And Wingman and Hitomi Kusogi is just one of those characters. And here's the rival character. Hitomi Kusogi is the rival character to Chun-Li. So, yeah, because she's and her sisters will be a part of her moveset or something else, which I will discuss a little later. And I think that's the rival characters. Holy shit, we just added the rest of the whole roster. I think I was supposed to talk about how things have changed. Now, Wingman's cut completely. And I also cut Phoenix right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final roster for Shonen Jump vs. Capcom. It came a little sudden, didn't it? Holy shit, we got a whole bunch of that. With that said about the whole disruptor picks and all that, I think we could finally settle on a good roster for the game. 26 characters on each side, base game. Something's not right here, right? That many characters on base? Something's not right. We'll get into that. Let's discuss the characters that I've added first. Gon had to be in. Him having a rival counter pick as Monster Hunter for obvious reasons. You could also say Toriko can be that too, but Gon is a lot more simpler in his attitude. Jin, adding Jin from Cyberbots. Once again, he hasn't been in the game since Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so him returning is well and good. Of course, I said that it wasn't going to be the only Tenkai, wasn't going to be the only Onimusha character. Soke returned from his original appearance in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, in terms of Versus series, of course. And as a rival pick to, what's his name? Saint Seiya doesn't really have one, but I put him against Virtual Joe just for the fuck of it, because we cut Wingman off of it, because I really do think Wingman would be considered, but ultimately cut, of course, when it comes to the likes of Kinnikuman. Now this is where it scares me a little bit. For those of you who don't know, there was basically two versions of Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. One of them had a character which I don't know the name of. It was a pink, blue, whatever, pink, pink character, fat character that's exclusive for the Japanese audience. And all Ultimate All-Stars got more characters that was more so exclusive for every other audience. My fear is that if they add Kinnikuman to the game, he'll only be exclusive to the Japanese versions of the game, which I think that's bullshit, and that should not happen because he's a rival character. Regardless, Kinnikuman's Kinnikuman, Mike Hager's Mike Hager. They're both wrestlers. Could be Alex, could be Yugioh versus Kinnikuman, could be Zangief, but I highly doubt that. You know, Mike Hager is kind of a better wrestler choice in the versus game, to be honest. But besides the point, let's talk about the roster a little bit more. Those 10 characters, did you notice something? We haven't gotten another Dragon Ball, One Piece, or Naruto character. Listen, the rosters are at 52. And the expectation should be around Street Fighter Cross Tekken numbers. And quite honestly, I feel like they would do something even similar to how they handled Street Fighter Cross Tekken, if it is going to be in certain numbers, but the DLC handling. This leads me into the suspicious 26 on each side number. There has to be a catch to this, right? Well, here's my thing. All the villains on this side, including Dark Snyder, which is kind of anti-hero, and the on the Capcom side, will be purchasable to the store. On the whatever store you go to, it's gonna be purchasable on the store, but you also have the option to unlock them in a certain mode. So basically early access. I feel like they would probably give you these characters, like, hey, we'll give you 26 characters on each side, but 5 of those characters will be locked, and you have to unlock them to a certain mode, which we'll talk about, and that's their deal. You can unlock them, or you could buy it for like $1 each, for each character. That's like $10 from buying each character. Now that seems pretty fucked up to some of you. It could be understandable in a way. These characters are pretty great. They're worth the, we got Gil Deus from Asura's Wrath, another Asura's Wrath character. Dark Snyder, Dio, and that's another thing as well. These character picks are worth it. The Dark Snyder is worth $1 to unlock. Dio is, Miriam is, Raul is, Medora is, especially a character you did not expect. I mean, these characters would be announced in like V-Jump or something, but still, the Capcom characters will be announced whatever. But they still would be worth the price of admission, like $1 to unlock them. Ain't nothing, you know what I mean? I think that's fair. It's business. It's fair. And if you're gonna give us 26 characters on each side and charge us $1 to unlock them early, while still being able to unlock them in another mode fairly, might I add you, with hard work, I think that's fair. But that's not including something else I'm about to talk about, which they could also garner money from: assist characters and character variations. One other thing that they could do to make this game stand out from the rest of the Versus games and make it super great is giving us variations of characters already on the roster, unlockable through that other mode or purchasable on wherever. Let's talk about those assists, because we're going to get to more of that purchasing shit a little later. Let's talk about the assist characters that play here. So we got 10 for, this is called the starter pack. Now, would we start with this? Who knows how they would handle it? All I know is they could add assist character DLC, and if your favorite character don't make it as playable, they're going to be assists if they're really popular. Like Piccolo, 2 One Piece characters, Sakura from Naruto, Renji from Bleach, Kinnikuman, great, Haiku, Captain Tsubasa, Ryuma. On the Capcom side, Ada Wong, her partnering up with Leon, that's cool. Cody, Guy, we can make a Hager, a Final Fight thing, Lilith, Trish. Now Trish, Amaterasu, and Phoenix Wright being regulated to assist-only characters may not sit well with people, but I think it'll be fine once I explain to you the potential play style with them. Jubei and Charlie Nash, or just Nash if it's Street Fighter V version, as assist-only characters. Here's how you can make them different and kind of charge for them too to unlock them as well. you give something that you never did before. Give, I'm pretty sure in my memory, give assist characters super moves, at least one super move that makes that dynamic of playing way different. Assist only characters super moves with different health bars. That I can see happening. That's the type of level of difference, or we can that will be integrated into, that could potentially be integrated in moves. Yes, it's kind of a creative thing on my part. I'm not saying Capcom would do it, but it's kind of on a level of what Capcom should do, and would validate them charging you for the assist characters as well. You can unlock them, or you can go to journey mode to unlock them. I just leaked what I said. Well, yeah, the whole mode I said I was going to talk about later was journey mode, but we'll get to that after we discuss more of the gameplay. Because you see, friendship and effort, and the third one called bravery, are all sayings of Shonen Jump. That's what they live by. That's their whole thing. And I believe Capcom would use something like that to put it and integrate it into the gameplay. If they do the characters like the way they're doing it, and a certain gameplay with the variations, I could totally understand if they only put 10 stages in the game and having 6 more for DLC, and having at least 2 very hard to get stages, which you can get the secret stage, maybe through beating the arcade boss, which we'll discuss, which may be in a famous pick for some of you, who I think the arcade boss should be. Yeah, and I think some of you are gonna like it and not. But either way, we'll back to the secret stages and stuff. You can either unlock the secret stages through arcade mode or the journey mode that I previously talked about, that we will get to. I think with stages, you gotta be delicate with them. You gotta pick the right thing. 5 Shonen Jump stages, 5 Capcom stages. I think these choices are pretty good, even though Otherworld's kind of non-canon. I think that they can still pull non-canon stuff from, Dragon Ball and whatever. Just basically a tournament stage, a cool tournament stage that isn't. You could do Dark Tournament too and kind of mix that in with something. But something a little bit brighter, than Dark Tournament. The Dark Tournament stage from Yu Hakusho. But the Valley maybe mix. You could do mixes, but I don't.
Okay, time for some practice.
There shouldn't only be one.
Triumph or die! Fight!
Friendship, effort, victory. Bravery. Yeah. These are specific styles, I believe, that could be used in such a way. Styles. Capcom could use them, so we're gonna demonstrate it as like that. Friendship. What could that do? What is effort? As you can see, effort has 1 bar over friendship. Well, what does this mean? I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of everything here, and hopefully this layout of these 2 fighting each other kind of gives you a better idea of what they will look like in the game. Effort. Quick breakdown. Basic meter build. No chip damage while blocking. Increases max meters from 5 to 6 or 7 depending on what Capcom really wants to do with effort. To me, that type of effect and style, that represents effort. That rewards effort. Bravery. Pretty much meter builds faster at lower health, depending on your team. Characters can access comeback mode, which is pseudo X Factor, maybe slightly weaker, but it activates the debuff instead of killing your opponent. And certain characters can use a special transformation while in comeback mode, which is very interesting to note. Also, friendship is more so along the lines of increasing your assist and your assist-only characters' damage, possibly even their health and their effectiveness of what their super actually does, which could be very essential. And give exclusive supers to certain characters when you have friendship mode on. Certain team-ups can allow for certain assist power-ups and super moves. That's only exclusive when you do it. And like this Toriko thing, for example, that team wasn't by accident. It was to show you what could possibly be. Obviously, the enemy won't be that big, but just imagine hitting up a quick Spirit Bomb. That I imagine Spirit Bomb being his level 3 or something, or one of his other moves, one of his level 3s. But doing a quick Spirit Bomb out of nowhere, I imagine it takes a while to build up the Super Spirit Bomb. But doing it like this, real quick out of nowhere, oh shit, he's about to activate the super, the the friendship exclusive super with Toriko, Luffy, and Goku. So that could be an interesting concept to that friendship. Of course, villains get debuffed, but that doesn't mean that's pretty much to help the villain stay in character. You know what I mean? A friendship buff to a villain, that makes no sense, right? But that doesn't mean they can't access secret moves with other characters. As far as effort is concerned, I figure that that most people will go to it when starting the game. You need something to go to and click on before we get used to anything else. Effort is like the go-to style. You want to practice with that. You got 6 bars. You don't take any chip damage. There's a good fundamental thing you can practice with, I imagine so. And it's effort. So yeah, Ryu at the bar, the red bar near Ryu, is actually to help build this. The bars near the name. I mean, I'm not sure if Capcom could do this. They could potentially do that. That'll make it interesting and simple. And of course, I have to mention that all the characters have separate healths. I have to say that. And they die separately. And yeah, the bar near the name is to build this special meter for the character at hand. Yeah, not for each character, but for the whole team, actually, essentially. So Goku could transform using his. I imagine Capcom will allow him to transform. Gets more powerful, having bravery, low health Goku with bravery, which we previously discussed what that was. Come back home, Super Saiyan 3 can do some real damage, and he's already really fast. So that's also something to think about. And also, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, you could pick up to 1, 2, 3 characters, but you can only choose one if you want to, and have just assist only characters on your team, like so, because they have their own health bar, and they can do their own special thing. They can get KO'd too and take the fall for you. So that type of thing is that would be super interesting in this game, and I imagine that's the next step. Because I thought about what Capcom did. They never gave assist characters a super before. One super that they could do that could really mess up somebody's game plan. Of course, continuing on to variations, and did I speak about bravery yet? Oh yeah, bravery. I think I spoke about that. Yeah, the variations like Super Saiyan Blue change up some of his moves, but not all of it. Essentially, the variation changed up some of your moves and like 2 of your super moves. That's a variation, and that's something Capcom could charge you for. Like I may have said earlier, maybe DLC variations. Like this could be a DLC variation too. I mean, the variations combined with this is simple but effective. You know, giving assist characters their own health bar. Kind of like this. I do like the avatar, the croissant thing happening. If they ever picked up this idea, I would like that. I like to see that difference. I think it's super simple. Could they do something more complicated? Not really. I don't think they need to. That's not even including like Guard Crush or Snapback. Will that return? Will Snapback return? Will Baruch Crush return? Whatever that thing was called. That was Tatsunoko versus Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now that I think about it. Like, will those things return? Will about new mechanics? That's something that should be also kept into mind. But that's just like the basic new features. It's time for us to view the modes, and one of the first things you might have seen is arcade mode, journey mode, versus mode, which could just be battle, online mode, online practice mode, training, extra store controls, and settings. Already looks better than half the shit we be seeing nowadays, I guess. Definitely better than Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'll probably say that again. Yeah, arcade mode. Final boss, Yuvok, or Yuhaba from Bleach. Now, this isn't anything particularly biased for Bleach, but I just think Yuvok will make a perfect arcade boss for Shonen Jump versus Capcom. Think about it. How many phases he has? He has 3 phases. oh my goodness, just the first phase is not really him. For spoilers, if you haven't really read the rest of Bleach, the first fight could be really hard, but it won't be him. And then the real Yuvok come out, you beat him with the same health and in the same phase. Oh man, I could just think about how coolly hard that boss can be. And it has the resurrection thing like Gil does. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, journey mode. Finally, we go to journey mode after speaking about it, talking about it a little bit. We're gonna even go a little bit further into journey mode, but basically it's a pseudo story mode. I don't think you need to make anything too crazy, but with all the features in the game, this will make the game even more complete. You unlock variations, assist characters, the characters we talked about, player icons, titles, games, secrets. That's one thing I like about games is game secrets and fighting games, man. And journey mode can give you that. And the best part about this is I think I can see potentially a co-op mode. Yes, a co-op mode where you can invite up to 2 friends. Because of course, team of 3, up to 2 friends, team of 2, 2 friends to beat certain characters to get certain amount of things, and maybe certain challenges and quests. We'll get into that a little bit more in a nanosecond, actually. But I really want to stress out how much a mode like this is needed in a game like Shonen Jump versus Capcom. Or even in Marvel vs. Capcom, another Marvel vs. Capcom game. And how cool it would be overall. The co-op idea is very nice and it would be appreciated. I think they would do that as the next step, and that's why I even put it there, to be honest. Because it seems like the next step to go if they really want to up their game on that stuff in the journey mode. And replacing the central story mode with the journey mode type of thing. And as you can see, the comparison to my designed, not the best design, not the final design, I wouldn't say, compared to the Marvel's Capcom Infinite. Obviously, this looks a lot more interesting than that. Now, I think I mentioned tons of times through this video how variations, they could charge you for it, probably go to this store right here, access variations, assist characters, DLC. Now, one thing I didn't mention is if there will be character colors. Now, usually they would be in Capcom games. I don't think they wouldn't allow that, but they probably would have you go to arcade mode or journey mode to unlock those colors for your favorite character. So I'm guessing character colors could be returning or not. I'm sure it might. I'm sure it is. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it could happen. Of course, it's a staple. What am I talking about? On the journey mode, there's a few interesting ways that Capcom can keep you invested inside journey mode, giving you a level, giving you experience points, blah blah blah, editing your team, viewing quests from different maps as you journey alongside your favorite Shonen Jump and Capcom heroes to fight against the bosses like Yuvok and all that mess. It doesn't particularly have to be crazy story-wise. There could be interactions between Shonen Jump characters and other side Capcom characters. The potential there is truly up to Capcom at that point. Whether to make this truly immersive experience. Maybe walking around with chibi icons instead of obviously not full-blown models. Like for instance, Chibi Gon and Chibi Leon team up with each other to go to certain towns, and you can walk around that little town, kind of like how the lobbies are handled in anime games nowadays, but kind of in a way better way. There's no hub world when it comes to Capcom. I don't think. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of the fighting games. And you can face secret battles and bosses, and this is interesting to me. I picked a few characters that I think will be perfect for that. Of course, you face a harder version of Yuvok or Yuhaba, and there's Midler. Now remember Midler, if you're a big JoJo fan, you would know that Midler was never really shown to have a face, but she did have an exclusive design in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game, so she could be a secret boss as well. She'd probably be like the first easiest secret boss, but the harder, you go to Midler, then you go to Seth from Street Fighter 4, you gotta beat him. Then you gotta go to Fruit and Bros, then Yuvok, and then finally get to the hardest bosses and the most secret and rarest bosses in the game. Hades from Saint Seiya, and Chakavatin from Asura's Wrath. She was a true final boss, spoiler alert. And of course, that's not to even mention, I don't mean to not mention the various secret variations you may face. Shadow Lady, classic one right there. Shinakuma, Shadow Dio, another callback they could do with Dio, Capcom could do. Even the ones that you may even not even think of, like Jacket Madaka or False Super Saiyan Goku, or what looks like False Super Saiyan Goku variation. And some of these may not be unlockable, but some of them could be very well unlockable if you complete the task under what it says. Like, for instance, post-time skip Luffy could be an unlockable variation once you beat him in the mode, and he could be a lot more faster version of Luffy than the New World Luffy that that's already in base game. So like stuff like that, man. I'm just thinking about it. You're thinking about it right now, and you're thinking like, yeah, this is cool, man. This will be awesome. Man, if Capcom decides. Alright, welcome to the community survey. This little segment is going to be involved in the gold stage. Before we continue on to the video, I'd like to pretty much talk about the questions I've asked. These questions weren't particularly done in the good time zone, so I couldn't get as many votes as I want, because this video really came out way later than I wanted it to. So yeah, one of the questions I asked was, what Street Fighter V character would best represented in a versus game? And the options: Rashid, Laura, Nash, and Zeku. Rashid and Laura they both got split, even though it was only 2 votes. So I'm asking you guys to kind of break the tie right here. What character from Street Fighter V would best represent in a versus game? Like Shonen Jump versus Capcom. As you know, if you paid attention to the video, I put Nash as an assist character. However, he's still representing Street Fighter V. And that's that. Let's on to the next question, which is, which Mega Man would you like to see in the next versus Capcom game? I think I forgot to put show the votes, but however, it was 50% Mega Man X and Mega Man Battle Network, which I showcased Mega Man Battle Network as a rival character to Yugi in this game. So that's split as well, which is very interesting. Battle Network should definitely get his chance to shine. I do personally agree with that one. Now I'm going to ask you guys this question without any votes. This was number 1. I think I fucked up this question though. It's supposed to be, what is your most wanted underrated Shonen Jump character in the Shonen Jump fighting game? I kind of butchered that, so I'm replacing it with that question. Moving onwards from that section. So, what is there to talk about when it comes to Shonen Jump vs. Capcom? We went through this whole video talking about its chance, its potential look, and its potential gameplay. How it could play, how Capcom can up it. What's the best place to announce this shit? Since it's in conjunction with Shonen Jump and Capcom, or Shueisha and Capcom, E3 is the best place for it to be announced, with some characters from Shonen Jump being announced at V Jumps and Weekly Shonen Jumps, and the Capcom side gets announced at Pro Tour. Of course, I can also see this game being competitively good enough, and if everything in this video isn't too broken or is very nicely balanced or good for competition, I can see it being a part of the Pro Tour, as I think Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was intended for that. But we can't end this video off on that note. Let's talk about the post-game content, the DLC characters. How will they get handled? Now, Now. Yes, Rival Pack 1, Vegeta, Wang Tang, Zoro, Yasha, Sasuke, Strider Hiryu, and the following assist characters with one super, might add you, or they could just be assist characters with no super. If Capcom decided to do that, but you know, keep with the theme of the video. Well, each of them has a super. Each of that can cost up to $35 to $29 each, and that's assuming that's like that could be without the assist characters, and assist characters could be treated as a separate thing, far away from the past, because they're extra models, yo. That's no joke. The second one being Ladies Revenge. Now this one, a whole pack based off female characters from each side, 3 for 3. I think that's a brilliant idea. We can open up the choices like Jolene Cujo, Arsh's Nay from Dark Bastard, Lar from Street Fighter V as a representative. It's funny because I chose this before making that question about the Street Fighter V thing that you just saw, might have just saw. Jill Valentine and Ruby Hart makes her return from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and Elena Lee, of course. You know, all female. When you make it all female, restrict that, you get to have some surprising picks. And those characters are down there. Now, I know you see Jack from Resident Evil 7. I personally would like him playable, but at the very least, if he's not playable, let him be an assist. Of course, there's Roberto from Onimusha as well, on the bottom left, next to Surfbot, a troll character to add. Soma on top of him, Killua, and All Might, just to get those Hunter x Hunter and My Hero assist in. And of course the Ultimate Villains pack, Madara. Now I know there's no Aizen. Aizen could easily replace Merrick, so just keep that in mind. Wesker, Boss, EXE, Yami as an assist, Chuck Green, maybe one of the Monster Hunters, and maybe even a Cyberbots character. And maybe even Samurai 8's Hachimaru as well. And Shishu, I forgot to mention. I can see these being the first and final packs. You know, another 18 characters to already established 52 character roster. That's all money. $10 to unlock all existing fighters. We talked about that before. But DLC stages cost 10 to 15. Kind of simple, you know, because that's how Capcom been handling their stages. That pretty much wraps it up for Shonen Jump vs. Capcom. You know, I really hope a Capcom executive or Shonen Jump executive looks at this video, or at least skips around to the point where I say this. You know, I hope that you know it's considered. Shonen Jump vs. Capcom is considered. I think it could work. We asked the question, can it work? And I obviously proved it can work if handled very much like a AAA game, unlike what Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was. It has to be handled like a big thing, a celebration, without handling the roster a certain way. At the end of the day, Shonen Jump vs. Capcom can indeed work, and I just hope that someday we get a new versus fighting game, and it's gonna be Shonen Jump versus Capcom. It's gonna be handled just like this, and especially with the bosses and Yuvok as the final boss, because I thought that would be cool. Well, if you watched this whole video, man, thank you for watching. I hope to do better. Possibly, we may even remake this video in the future. We never know. My name is Shintone. Until the next confirmation, I will be seeing you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate ya. See ya.